We're going to start off in Egypt. One of our headlines this morning. The country is reflecting on 5 years since the revolution today.
It is, and we'll start with an Egyptian paper. So 5 years on, one of the young organisers of the 25th of January uprising that, of course, toppled Hosni Mubarak, talks to the press. Now, the paper is Al Masri Al Yaoum. It's an independent paper which says it's liberal-leaning. It's run by a businessman and the grandson of a famous Egyptian publisher. Now, the protester is Abdel Rahman Mansour, who was finishing his studies in 2011. With Wael Ghonim, he set up a Facebook page and anti-torture campaign in honour of Khaled Said, who was the Alexandrian who was killed at the hands of the police. Now, it was Mansour who set the date as the 25th of January for what he called a peaceful protest. Little did he know that that would turn into a full-blown revolution. In the interview, Mansour expresses his disappointment at where Egypt is now. He says Mubarak's police state is back, but with a new leader, al-Sisi. He deplores al-Sisi's choice to be militant and also to be very restrictive, especially his cracking down on public spaces. Freedom of expression, he says, has been muzzled. And he also goes on to say that al-Sisi is at war with the January 5th protesters. He wants to silence them completely.
Now, it's important to point out, Bella, this sort of article is very unusual in the Egyptian press, isn't it? Which is mostly, of course, controlled by this military-heavy government. How's the rest of the press been telling the same story?
It was a fairly homogenous reportage from the rest of the press, as you'd expect. Here we have Al Haram, which has one of the biggest Al Ahram, which is, I apologise, which is one of the biggest papers in Egypt. They say here they run as their headline a direct quotation from al-Sisi's speech. So it says here, Egypt has turned from a nation dedicated to just one group of people to a nation dedicated to everybody. Of course, whether you believe that or not is another question.
Well, that's certainly not how the rest of the papers across the globe are seeing it, are they?
No, and French paper Le Figaro, which I've just picked out, I think I can say that one at least correctly, focuses on Cairo and on Tahrir Square, which is the focal point of the uprisings in 2011. It says here, Cairo isn't celebrating. It's now been filled with security agents, whether they're on foot, whether they're on cars, in uniform or plain clothes. It goes on to say there have been more than 5,000 police raids in downtown Cairo over the last week or two in preparation for today. That's according to the Interior Ministry, so they're not even trying to hide it. They just don't want any chance of public disorder. Human rights activists have been detained in secret without notifying their lawyers or their families. Facebook activists have been arrested. And the imams, whose sermons are already quite controlled by the government, all came out in Friday prayers last week saying, please don't protest. One rights activist is quoted saying, Mubarak left little room, but the new authorities silence any critical voice. 25th of January has become a myth that a new regime is trying to destroy.
Let's move on to destruction of a different kind now. This time it's environmental.
It is. Well, it's sort of environmental, biological, however you want to see it. This is the story of 4 sperm whales who were found washed up on the beach in the east of the UK. Now, they're thought to be, I mean, the image there is really quite shocking. You've got so many spectators. Gosh. Yeah, they're absolutely huge. And they're thought to be part of the same all-male pod, which has already lost 12 of its members on beaches around Germany and around Holland in the last month or two. Now, it's not completely unusual for sperm whales to wash up on beaches in this area, but this is the biggest beaching of this kind in decades. So how do they end up there? Well, marine biologists say it is at base a simple navigational error. They mean to go round the north of Scotland, but because of the shallower waters in the North Sea, they end up getting a little bit lost because their echo sounding doesn't work as well, and that's how they end up beaching further south. There's also rumours that it could be Navy sonar that might disrupt their the way that they navigate, and there were rumours that a Russian submarine was operating in the waters around Scotland, potentially.
Crikey. Let's move on to another environmental phenomenon, but this time a bit more cheerful, thankfully. Storm Jonas, which struck the east coast of the US over the weekend, has given many people a few snow days.
It has, and unsurprisingly, the pictures are on most of the front pages in the US. So here we've got the International New York Times, the caption there with the snowscape that we see, beautiful picture. Walk on the white side is the caption. A pun, of course, on the famous Lou Lou Reed's song. And some of the photos in the papers are indeed quite wild. So like this one here, a snowball fight in Washington, D.C., this in the Washington Post. So many people across the East Coast had to dig their way out of their homes. So the Washington Post has provided this very handy little video, how to avoid back injuries when shoveling snow. Now, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it just gives you an idea of how people have taken this whole environmental phenomenon on board. How big is Snowzilla? Snowzilla is what Storm Jonas was subtitled. It's a handy graphic here by the Washington Post, again, tongue-in-cheek. They've taken the square meters of snowfall across the capital and they have realised or worked out that amounts to a whopping 1 billion cubic metres. They've put it in feet there, but I'm telling you in metres of snow. And they've got the snowman there to show you how big that would be if it was all compacted into a snowman. And we've got another image. You can see, so flights were grounded across DC, the DC area, and of course New York. And you can see why in an image there that we have. That is Dulles International Airport with the snow removers at work. Hard at work. You can see why you couldn't land on that strip right there. There's an image of parked cars. Now, what's quite interesting about this is that in DC, they've decided that fines are still going to be applied to people who try and fail to make a journey in their car. So if you go out thinking you might make it, be careful, because you will be fined if you end up having to stop in the middle of a street. And of course, one last thing, when snow melts, it causes water, of course. And there was huge, unprecedented flood, or almost unprecedented flooding in New Jersey. Here we go.
Well, lots more of that to look forward to. Thanks for that, Belle. Belle Lupton with the Press Review.